Hi friends. So by now you realize that I like to pour silicone all over things, and little tchotchkes are no exception. So when one makes a batch of silicone for molding several records, it takes a lot of silicone. So there's always a little bit left over, and what do you do with that little bit? It's so expensive, one doesn't want to waste it. So recently I was cleaning up the basement and I came across a Pathé album. They're not terribly common, but this one was so beat that it was headed for the trash. But the logo part of it was quite nice. So I cut this out, and it perfectly fit 4 by 2 inch, which is standard size for a business card. Also common size for a computer printer label. So I cut it out and got a shape that I like, and then took some styrofoam, just some basic 1/2 inch styrofoam sheet that's available at any home improvement store. Cut that out, glued 2 layers together. So there was a base, and then there was this 1/2 inch foam piece on top, and hot glued this to the floor of it, so then I could pour the silicone all over it. Let that set up for a good long time. And you can see that foam around the perimeter, right? Give you an idea. 1/2 inch thick. 1/2 inch thick means that it's thick enough that it won't tear too easily. So there we have this nice little mold. And while making records, likewise, there's extra material left over, which means that then I could make some of those guys. And with this mold, I can make many, many more. But making one of them at a time is a little laborious. I do like to use these for business cards, maybe not this thick, but you get the idea. The nice thing about using these as cards is people appreciate them, and hopefully don't just throw them in the trash after one walks away. So with this mold, you can make multiples of these, and then after multiples of those are made, one can make what's called a sheet mold. Here, obviously, you can see that we have this sheet mold is 8, which I cut off the corners to minimize the amount of silicone that's needed. And this is Nipper from the back of a Canadian Berliner. You can see that I filled in the spindle hole with a little bit of wax. And there he is. Isn't that adorable? Here's a 4 by 2 inch computer printer label, which I just stuck on the back and then trimmed with a pair of scissors. And these are what I use at conferences, such as the recent ARSC conference. And just crank these out and put them on a laboratory hot plate. Material sets in minutes. Similarly, I found these lovely 1902 or so Columbia advertising pins that I'm assuming they were used to advertise Columbia's entrance into the disc record market. And this was supposed to be a popular song for all eternity. They had a couple different labels on them. And these were pins, so I kept that as a pin, and used a little printer for that. But it was the same deal, so I had one, and then I made a bunch of copies. And then after enough copies were made, this was literally the bottom of the bucket silicone. That's what these little white bits are. It's the solids that precipitated out to the bottom. But these are quite lovely. The extra materials that are around, they can be poured in, and therefore there's reduced waste. Can make pins or refrigerator magnets or whatnot, and people really appreciate them. Of course, why do anything small? If you can make one of something, why not make 100? And that's just kind of what I do. So the same, this exact same method could be used for making little knobs and trim pieces and any other little projects that you might have. So I hope this video inspires some of you to start making some of your own parts. And if you have any questions, well, you saw my contact info. Just please leave a comment, share this video, or you know, send me an email, give me a call. I'm always happy to help.